Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Where am I? Wrong button. All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. Well, I just had somebody ask me why I was called the Giant, Robin.
Yeah,
I get a chance to answer that question. I haven't answered that question in millions of years. We were ready to talk about a holistic approach to managing your finances. On the phone to do that is Kirk, Cassidy, and Dr. Paul Matler. They are speaking to us. I guess they're with something called Senior Planning Advisors, and there's a website. I think that's it, seniorplanningadvisors.com. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. Let me say good morning first, and then I want to answer their question. I promise I won't take much of their time. Dr. Paul Matler and Kirk Cassidy. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Larry and Robin.
There you are. I know you're both on the phone, but are you both in the same place?
We're actually in two separate offices right now.
And where are you? Where are each of you?
We're in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Farmington Hills, Michigan.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how's the weather in Michigan?
Terrific.
Good.
78 and sunny today.
Oh, excellent. And the end of summer, Michigan, right? Robin is from Wisconsin, so she probably is familiar with that area, that general area,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right, so who asked me about the name The Giant? Was it Dr. Matler?
Nope.
No, Kirk. Kirk was asking. All right, well, real quickly, Robin and I had a musical duo called Robin and the Giant because we were playing music for children. And we would go to schools, and I'm 6'6" tall, so the children would always call me the Giant. So that's how I got the name.
Interesting.
To children.
So I heard had a no longer perform?
Well, we do sort of, kind of, not much anymore, but our days probably passed.
All our music is in the archives, though, on iTunes.
Yeah.
So that's
I did. I listened to it last night, so it was entertaining.
Oh, well, thank you.
Wow,
thank you. Yeah, we did radio show and everything. Well, that's enough of us.
Yes.
Let's talk about you guys. So now, let's wait a minute. I have a way to bridge from that to this. So we made a few dollars doing that. so now we're both 60. Robin will be 61 in a few weeks, and I'll follow her in February. So we're getting close to needing to tap into any nest eggs we've invested or whatever you want to call it. Accumulated. That's the best word. Yep. So talk to us about our money. What do we need to do? And what do you mean by holistic? What does that mean?
Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, so when we talk about holistic, we're really speaking on two different levels. So the obvious level, the financial level, is how do we address income for the rest of your life that you never outlive? How do we look at taxes? How do we make sure that if you're charitable, we're doing charitable planning? How do we make sure that you're accumulating wealth? How do we make sure that healthcare is covered? Or if legacy is important to you, how do we address legacy? So when we talk about holistic, we're talking on one level about financial. How do we make sure you're financially sound as you get older? But really, in many ways, we're also sort of addressing a deeper level when we talk about holistic. And what we see, Kirk and I, we see people who are thinking about getting close to retirement, and growing old is not an easy thing, right? Especially in a society that doesn't really value.
It doesn't take me any effort at all. It's just, it's not hard at all to grow old. I'm sorry.
Well, you're not old yet. You're not old yet.
Okay. I'll take your word for that.
But it's difficult because obviously as we grow old, we begin losing things. Our health. We have loss of health, our independence, right? Our control over things. We start losing a sense of purpose. So in many ways, when we're talking about a holistic plan, what we're really talking about is how do we help people maintain a level of independence as they get older.
Do we need to depend on an expert, or can we do it ourselves?
Well, I think the benefit is when you have someone who manages finances, we obviously understand what kinds of things you need to do to plan financially in the future, because at the end of the day, if you're not financially sound, you're not going to be able to maintain your independence as you get older. You're going to have significant amount of stress. And we know that stress has a significant impact on your physical health. So, and I would say, especially for women, I mean, at least traditionally, we meet couples all the time, and the wife comes in and has no clue of where their finances are. And their greatest fear is something's going to happen to their husband, and she's not well prepared. She will know nothing as to what to do. So obviously, getting your financial home in order is key to having good psychological, emotional health, and helping people be able to maintain a level of independence for the rest of their life, to have a sense of purpose and value, to pass along to their children and grandchildren what's important to them. That's all part of a holistic plan.
And people need to be able to go to birthday parties and give gifts. They need to celebrate holidays and give gifts. And if you're on a really, really fixed income and the only thing you're able to be paying when you're retired is just your rent and your utility bills, you don't have anything extra to give. And that's some of the things that the people really are concerned about.
Exactly. And actually, to be honest, I think that's a good scenario when people have enough money to pay bills but not enough money to give gifts. We meet people who actually don't have enough money, if they don't plan well, who actually can't pay their mortgage or the utilities.
Wow.
They can't pay their bills. And if you don't know that when you're 85 years old, you're going to be able to live independently, that's incredibly stressful. It's incredibly stressful, and that has an impact on one's physical health.
I know you're not here to talk about reverse mortgages, but is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Larry, this is Kirk. I would suggest that in the right situation, we're really cautious. I know there's a lot of books, do-it-yourself books out there, and financial experts that want to paint such a broad brush that this is what we should do. This is when we should take Social Security.
Right.
That reverse mortgages are horrible or terrific for everybody. Right? And I would caution everyone, this isn't something you can do yourself because everyone is so individualized. Each individual situation is so unique. So to answer your question regarding reverse mortgages, I think it depends on each individual circumstance.
Okay.
Yes, it's a useful tool in the right situation.
And is it a good thing for the elderly parents to include their children in on their finances and what state they're in, or should that wait until they're gone?
We encourage to have the children involved as much as possible. Because they have the direct contact with them. They know cognitively if things are beginning to diminish. They can communicate. They can warn us. If we identify something, now we have a relationship with them that we can say, hey, Mom, we're worried about Mom, or worried about Dad,
right.
Or the handyman just took advantage of Mom and spent $4,000 to replace their toilet. So again, I think this goes back to the whole holistic approach. But Larry, you had asked the question earlier in that can this be done yourself? And I think when you enter this new phase of your life, we call this distribution and preservation phase. I think it's critical that you find an expert. But the type of expert you want to begin by looking for is someone who is a fiduciary. They must be a fiduciary who's looking to do what's in your best interest, disclose all conflicts of interest, disclose all fees. Because what you have when you go into retirement is, and I use this analogy all the time, a puzzle. And this puzzle consists of many different investments. And many of them are very attractive and good-looking and have been effective and useful for them. But the problem is you have a bunch of pieces to this puzzle that are circles, squares, rectangles. None of them fit together. And the key to a successful retirement plan is being able to fit those pieces together in a puzzle so to reduce taxation, know the appropriate time to take assets from the right sources at the right ages. When do I take Social Security? How do I minimize taxes on Social Security and maximize benefits? It's really a challenge to do yourself.
Kirk and Dr. Paul, thank you both for being on this morning. We obviously can't cover it all in a short interview like this, but I'm sure there's a way. I'm guessing there's a website. Can you give us a website?
Sure. If they'd like to go to seniorplanningadvisors.com.
Oh, that's right. I have
seniorplanningadvisors.com. We also teach classes at the local universities, at University of Michigan, Ann Arbor campus, and Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Oh, okay. Right now, just so you know, a lot of the audience here are transplants from up north, and the price of a home down here is considerably less, at least in this town. Miami's not that way, but in Ocala it is. So a lot of people actually came out of their homes in Michigan, for example, or New York, and sold their homes for a lot more than they had to pay for a home down here, leaving them with a nice little nest egg. And I'm thinking a lot of them would be well off to have that money protected in some way. So I think the information is very important. Again, Kirk Cassidy and Dr. Paul Matler, thank you so much. The website, seniorplanningadvisors.com. We'll take a little break and be right back. Thank you, guys.
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood. And when I was, I could never perform at my best.